this story. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about this story.
So before we begin, I don't know anything about this story. You basically told me, hey, I have this crazy story about Xbox. I'm going to talk about it on the pod. And I said, okay, save it. I don't want to know anything. So this is my first time.
Okay. So let me give it all to you again. And then I want to hear what your thoughts on it are. Okay. So there was, I believe this was last week, perhaps, or, late last week or this weekend. October 16th is kind of when this story broke. So a couple days ago from when we're recording this.
Okay.
There was a personality that Xbox Brazil promoted to kind of be like their face. Like she was going to host, almost like a personality PlayStation blog type thing for Xbox, right? For Xbox Brazil.
Like a Larry Herb?
Yeah, this is something like that. And she would host like these little like informational videos and just kind of be a face for the brand, right? The Xbox brand. Okay. And it was at the beginning of September when she got the job for Xbox Brazil. Okay. Mm-hmm. So she hasn't been in that position too long. And I don't remember what her exact position title was. I can't find it anywhere. It's not super relevant, but basically she was going to be a personality for Xbox. Okay. And she got this position at the beginning of September. Okay. Then this story comes out. Okay. She posts on her own Twitter. Her name's Isadora Basile, I believe is how you pronounce her name. She posts this on her Twitter now, and also, mind you, a lot of this is translated from like their original language, their Spanish language, into English, so there might be some issues here and there. Mm-hmm. So just keep that in mind. So she posts on her Twitter on October 16th after having been in the position for about a month and a half. She says, at the beginning of September, when I announced my job at Xbox Brazil, I suffered harassment of all kinds from people saying that I didn't play X or Y, or that I wasn't, quote, worthy of my job, to rape and death threats and aggression for exposing tense situations. Thanks to the help of my family, boyfriends, and friends, I learned well on how to deal with this, but it didn't mean that it was not happening anymore. Okay. So basically she learned how to cope with it, but it was still going on. Then she continues, and thanks to all these harassments, Microsoft has decided that it was for the best to sever ties with me as a host, so I wouldn't be more exposed to situations like these that happened. I respect the decision made by Microsoft. My love for them will be the same as always. Thank you. Now, just to clarify, this was initially actually broke on Reset Era by a user called Hey, Haee, who gave credit to a user by the name of the Era of Yakuza, who apparently sent this story or whatever. I don't know. Reset Era is a weird platform, dude. But anyway, and then I saw it on Twitter. I forget who posted it, but I saw it. I was like, damn, this is kind of big. Why aren't people talking about it? Yeah. Anyway, so she posts that on, what was it again? October 16th. Okay. So then there was a comment from Xbox Brazil on their Twitter on October 16th, much later. So she posted like early in the evening. They posted later at night. And they basically said, quote, this is an official statement from Xbox Brazil. We did some changes in our strategy regarding content that came originally from Brazil, resulting in less channels of communication. We thank Isadora Basile and the talented agency crew for their creativity and contribution to Xbox News. Xbox Wire Portal will be our only news channel from now on. Xbox Brazil channel will continue to experiment new ways to entertain Brazilian gamers. Okay. So that was their statement after her statement. And they were getting a lot of shit for it. It gets worse. Okay. She did an interview for a news outlet called The Enemy, which is a Brazilian gaming news website. So again, what I'm about to read you is translated from Spanish. So there's just a couple of quotes I wanted to pull up from this interview from Isadora herself. So she says, quote, yes, they, referring to Xbox Brazil, always talk with me to help with the situation and remain calm. I toughened up from reading some stuff, especially on Twitter, but when I always saw something heavy, I sent it to them, being Xbox Brazil, end quote. However, She continued in the interview, according to her, the firing occurred thanks to, quote, guidance from the global Xbox team, end quote, that there shouldn't be anyone that susceptible to attacks or harassment as the face of the brand. Let me just reiterate that. They said that there shouldn't be anyone that susceptible to attacks or harassments as the face of the brand. And then she continues, quote, it's a feeling of impotency, right? I opened to the brand with my heart, did more than necessary, and I loved my job. I lost my job because people don't know how to respect each other.
Anakin, you're breaking my heart.
End quote.
Wow.
I lost my job because people don't know how to respect each other. There shouldn't be anyone that susceptible to attacks or harassments as the face of the brand. What?
This is a mess. What a
Dude,
mess.
I can't believe it. They fired somebody, right? Because she said, she was basically pushed out from guidance from the global Xbox team. They fired somebody, let go, pushed out, whatever, because one of their personalities was getting rape and death threats. Oh yes, Xbox. Let us fire the person getting the rapes and death threats instead of demonizing and addressing the actual rape and death threats themselves. And all you can say... Go ahead.
They failed to defend her in any way. They simply thought it would be easier to get rid of her rather than defend her.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Yeah, and that's exactly my point. You, Xbox Brazil, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're part of the Xbox ecosystem. You decided it was a better course of action to advise, right, one of your hosts for gaming news or whatever to leave the company, right? Sever ties with the company. Eliminate what she was doing as part of your marketing strategy or whatever to Brazilian gamers because you thought it was best for the brand, instead of addressing the comments and the culture around what she was experiencing. People were saying she was a normie, that she's a girl, so she doesn't play games. All of these things, these stupid fucking tropes we've seen in the gaming universe forever, and they fired her because of it.
I don't know what... this might sound like silly of me, but I don't know like the political or the social status of women in Brazil, if it's less than a man, because I know in some countries, women are considered not equal to men. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's the case and that plays into this somehow, but regardless, that's not how it should be.
Yeah, I think it definitely does. I think if this happened in the United States, you would see it maybe to a lesser extent, maybe not. I don't know. As far as I feel like we do have a lot of, there's obviously systemic issues and other things with gender and stuff in this country. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but you might see it to a lesser extent or a little bit different. But I don't know if she was the first female face of Xbox in Brazil or whatever it was. I know the social climate is not good in Brazil, right? They have far right-wing things just like the United States. So, say what you will about all of that. But just the sheer fact, first of all, the issue obviously here is that she was getting rape and death threats and all these terrible comments to her. We see it with a lot of people. We talked about it last week. We see it with a lot of women gamers, women personalities, women in general, people having unpopular, whatever it is. We see a lot of that all the time. That's not something new. We there's the stupid gaming tropes of oh my God, dude, there's a girl playing games. Girls don't play games, blah, blah, blah. It's always a guy thing. Girls don't play games. Girls don't develop games. All this whatever bullshit that we've seen forever and is such a fucking pain in the ass and it's so stupid and all that stuff. Anyway, that's a whole separate topic. But the fact that they fired her because of shit that she couldn't even control.
Yeah, and it seemed like she was doing the proper, at least in the United States, the thing you would do when these things are happening is you would report them to HR, you'd report them to the higher ups, and they would take care of it for you. But in this case, instead of defending her and helping her, they felt the best way to help her was all right, fine, we'll just get you off TV or reach you off the internet.
Yeah.
Then.
So it seemed like she did report it to them. She got some guidance and some help from them, from her agency. She obviously had her family and friends and boyfriend and stuff like that. But to me, it seems like it got to such a point where it was really, really, really bad, right? Obviously. And then they were like, man, this is too much, it's too much heat, blah, 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 or whatever. Where I feel like if you're trying to hold up whatever image of your brand that you want, Why would you not demonize that stuff instead? You're almost appealing to that base then of your fans who are disgusting.
No, absolutely. And it's like, it's weird. It's so weird because part of me wants to defend Xbox, the global Xbox team, and say, listen, they saw a fire in Brazil and they were like, shit, we got to put this out quick because this is going to hurt our image and hurt our brand.
Right.
And because they're so removed from it, they were just like, we're canceling all of it. They're all fucking done.
Right.
Which is good because that's also punishing the people that fucked over. What's her name? Isadora, yeah. It's also punishing them because they lose their job. Those people that were the higher ups in Xbox Brazil, maybe not lose their job, but some of them did. Some of the people that helped produce that content, they got canned.
Right.
So is that a good thing? Maybe. But the way I'm looking at this is Xbox Brazil were the ones that decided to cut her out.
Right.
And then Xbox Global said, all right, this is too much. We got to fucking, the whole Brazil as a whole, you're done. Brazil, you're gone.
Right.
And they basically just trashed it all. Now, there's the other side of it where Xbox Global knew about all this shit going on. They made the decision to get rid of her. Maybe. I don't know.
I can't speak to any more specifics. Like what I gave you was literally what I had. I translated that entire Brazilian article with Google Translate and read through it. Those are the things particularly that stuck out to me. So I don't have any more information for you about it other than, to me, this seems utterly abysmal, and I think brings up a larger issue of not just societal things, but particularly in the gaming community, of just like this toxic fucking culture around certain things. And specifically thinking that it's ever okay to send somebody death threats about anything, or rape threats, or whatever it is, about fucking content and like entertainment. It's just wild to me. And the fact that it has no traction within the gaming channels, at least that I follow, is really wild.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about this. And listen, like, I just want to point this out. Like, I don't want to get political on here. Like, we don't have to like get too political with everything. But you and I, we're not like social justice warrior, super liberal. Like, you know, we're not like that. But we are liberal, and we are in agreement that people should do the right thing, and you should be a good human being regardless. Yeah. And this is, even if you're not like if you're listening to this story and you're thinking a bunch of social justice warriors are talking about this, like they just want this girl, she got death threats, boohoo. It's like, no, dude, this is like a real thing. This could happen to your mom. This could happen to your sister. This could happen to your wife in America. This could happen anywhere.
Yeah.
And it could happen to someone that you love.
Right.
Which you know what I mean?
Right.
You'd care then.
And my larger point is just that it's like if we want to take just gaming itself, right? Besides the country where it took place, right? There is this institutional mindset to things within gaming that is like, you have to be this one way, and it's just, and if you're not, we don't like you, fuck you, die, I'm gonna rape you, whatever it is. And it's like a little microcosm of the actual social culture around it. Nobody deserves to get threatened or raped or anything like that. Be a decent fucking human being. Everybody should live the same thing. And you know what? We are liberal, but I would argue more so that we're more so very hard progressives. Like, we believe in equal opportunity. Like, we believe in, I don't know, that healthcare is a human right, that you should go bankrupt. Yeah, exactly. Like, basic human decency. Like,
exactly.
People should be able to live and not be fucking, I don't know, threatened to get, like, it's just, that, to me, that's not like a fucking political opinion. That's like being a decent fucking human being. I don't know.
Yeah. No, and you're right. But part of it is also, it's not just gaming. It's the internet. And it goes back to the death threat topic from last week with Spider-Man. And people are going to send death threats over everything. People are going to send death threats to actors, to singers, to songwriters. It's the world. It's not just even the game. You're right, though. There is like a thing with gamers where it's like, you have to be this to be a gamer.
Right.
You can't do that. You can't be a girl. You can't do. But the death threat part is very just an internet thing.
Yeah.
So I think it all just goes back to that thing I said last week, where it's people that don't know that the internet is a real thing, where you're actually saying something to someone on the other end.
Right.
Just because it's not a phone where you actually hear their voice They're there on the other end.
Somebody's on the receiving end. It has a significant impact on that person, right? And in this case, besides whatever mental toll it took on her, right, which it obviously did, right, she shouldn't even have to deal with that. It also now cost her her job and her livelihood. So I hope those people are happy, and I hope Xbox, besides Xbox Brazil, I hope Xbox is happy. Because to me, if I was Phil Spencer, I would come out and say something about this.
Oh yeah.
Right? Whether they're Xbox Brazil or not, this is a serious brand
I'd
issue.
fly her ass to America and give her a job in here.
Yeah. This is something that Xbox needs to talk about and address, because to me this is a huge issue for their brand, right?
Or it's not a huge issue because they've just swept it under the rug.
Well, that's an even larger
It
issue
should
in and
be.
of itself. Yeah, that's an even larger issue in and of itself. But anyway, I don't want to carry on too much with it. I just thought it was important. I wanted to talk to you because when I read it, I was like,
Yeah.
this is fucking bad. This is nuts.
Dude, that's some people's dream jobs. Can you imagine if we got hired as Xbox to be like a brand ambassador? Like, that'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And if someone was fucking with me and sending me death threats, it's like when the one guy from IGN, I forget his name, then he was like the new guy, but he's not the new guy anymore. Altano's boy, Max Scoville.
Oh yeah.
When Max Scoville started IGN, he was getting death threats too, and like that was his dream job, I would assume. Like that would be our dream job. So if someone was sending me death threats, I'd be like, "Hey HR, there's people online." You know what I mean? And if I got fired for that, I'd be devastated.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. That's not your fault at all. It's not. You can't control what other people say, right? And
she did nothing wrong, man. That's sad.
Yeah, and it's just. It's bad. That's all I have for you.
Hey, did you know this video is actually part of a larger podcast? Check out our latest episode of Hapticast by clicking here.